Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome inside Chillin With Chillot. I'm play-by-play broadcaster TJ Chillot, and through my years of traveling the world, calling hockey games in many different leagues and locations across the United States, I've come across some great people and even better stories. On this pod, I'll be talking to some of my friends and colleagues from across the hockey world to give you an unfiltered look at working in the world of sports. Today's guest from the Henderson Silver Knights, the head equipment manager, and my friend Jorge Lopez. George, what's up, man? It's been a long time.
What's up, brother? It has been a long time. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Tequila, obviously.
Of course. You can't have a last name like Lopez and be drinking anything but tequila.
Ugh.
George, you've been through it all. I mean, you've been the equipment manager in Laredo, Texas. You've been up in Seattle. You were together with me in Mississippi for one season. You got to lift the Stanley Cup. You got to get to that spot this past year as a member of the Silver Knights. They call you up during the big run. What was that like? First, my question is, did you ask, leading up, hey, if we win this thing, can I lift this? Am I a part of it, or is it just kind of known? What was it like?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I did ask Rachel before. I was like, my fiance, I was like, if we win this, should I lift it or should I wait till, I'm because I'm with the Henderson Silver Knights. So when I'm actually with the big club, and she was like, yeah, I asked Joel Ward too, one of my close friends, assistant coach with the Silver Knights. And he was like, man, if someone hands it to you, just live in the moment, just take it. And Mark Stone handed it to me. So I'm not going to tell Stoney no.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
it was really.
From what I know about you, you make relationships and you make friends with everybody. So I'm not surprised that Mark just came over to you and said, you know what? Here you go. Take it. Because even though you're there for a short time, you know how to make an imprint on people.
No, it's really cool. Since Henderson and Vegas are so close, we're very tight-knit organization. So I'm the guys see me quite often. And Silver Knights, we didn't have the best of years. So when our season ended, I got the call up. So I was there for their whole run. And I was with Taxi Squad plus with the big club. So the guys saw me day to day and I was on the road with them. So no, it was really cool. It was an unbelievable experience. And a couple people have asked me how was it lifting it, and it's just surreal. You kind of black out. It's crazy. But it was awesome.
It's insane. And for the people that are out there that don't quite understand the hockey world, obviously you're the head equipment manager of the Henderson Silver Knights in the American Hockey League. As you just mentioned, they kind of called you up. How does your day-to-day change when you're a number 3 or number 4 guy with the big club during that run? What are you doing? Are you just getting kind of all the crap jobs?
You sort of, but you're just kind of just wherever's needed. So just extra set of hands. And I've told a lot of people this. It's crazy the difference between the AHL, which is great hockey, really high level hockey, to the NHL. The intermissions on a game day in the NHL are nonstop. It's just busy as hell. Marchessault wants his glove tightened, or someone needs a stick cut or a knob put on. Sharpenings, it's just always something going on. Where in the American Hockey League, sometimes I'm just sitting down waiting for something to happen, but in the NHL, I never sat down in intermission. It was actually, that was probably the most eye-opening thing. It was just so busy.
That's insane. While we're talking about the Stanley Cup, you and I had a bet at the beginning of the Stanley Cup Finals, and I have to tell you a little bit of a thing here. So we're going to clue everybody in on the bet. So the bet was, obviously, the Charlotte Checkers, the affiliates of the Florida Panthers, going into that Stanley Cup Final. Henderson, the affiliate of the Vegas Golden Knights. George and I bet a case of beer. Whoever's team came out on top would ultimately receive a case of beer from the other. Did you know?
It hasn't been here, though. Where is it? Is it lost in the mail?
This is what I'm going to tell you. This is what I'm telling you. So I went online. I was actually going to one-up it, and I was going to get you an engraved bottle of 1800. Okay, I was going to get something put on it. Of all the things that you can do in Nevada, let's think about this. All the things you can do, you cannot legally direct ship alcohol to Nevada. So there is no way that I can get you alcohol. They will not. You can't direct ship it. So I got to either put it in a box and just hope that no one figures out that this is booze, or I could drive it. That's not a bad idea. Or you could fly out to Charlotte and check things out here. Or maybe I could just send you a drizzly or something and get you a delivery of a case of beer. But I wanted it to be some of the, I mean, that's the thing with Charlotte is there's so many good breweries here. Like I was going to get you a really good brewery and, send you something like that, but you can't send it to Nevada. Of all that, like I thought for sure you could have put a gun to my head and said, hey, can you send booze to someone who lives in Nevada? And be like, yeah, sure. Cause it's not like, it's not New York. It's not California. No. You can't.
It's Vegas. Like, exactly. It's crazy.
There's prostitutes on the corner for crying out loud.
You know what else is crazy? That there's no lottery here.
Really?
So if you want to play the lotto, or if it's like Mega Millions crazy, you got to go to Utah or Arizona. So there's like on the border, there's like a huge line of people from Vegas going. But it's crazy. It's like casinos don't want you to play the lottery. They want you to be at the casinos.
Well, that makes sense. I was going to say there's got to be a tie there, right? Like the casino.
Yeah,
why doesn't a casino or the casinos all band together and create a lottery, right? Like it's kind of something that would be beneficial to all of them. Just take the payout. But I think here in North Carolina, it's the North Carolina Education Lottery, so a lot of the money goes directly into educational funds, so they kind of make it important, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But so I know I lost. I'm good for it. I'm gonna get you something one way or another. It's just I can't mail it to you. I can't go on 1-800-Spirits and get it to you. But we're gonna try. We're gonna try and make that happen. But I want to go into the next biggest topic right now. Let's talk about our time together in Mississippi. It was my first year as a professional broadcaster at 28, 29 years old.
How many years has it been since now?
3, 4, 5. Yeah. So that was the 17-18 season, and it was a year, man. There was so much crammed into that first year. I think I was spoiled because I think that when I went through every subsequent year since then, they're all just trying to live up to what we did in that one year. What are some of those memories that you take away from Mississippi? Good, bad, indifferent. You tell me. What are the first things that pop out to you?
I mean, when I think of Mississippi, I think family. Like, it really was a family feel to it. Like, Derek Landmaster, our head coach there, like, he was a legend in South Haven. And I think he really, for Rachel and I, like, he brought us in and he made us a part of his family. And I'm sure with you too, like, it was hard when we folded because of that. It just had a really good family feel to it. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Mississippi. And then obviously a bunch of crazy stories, but that's the first thing that comes to mind is family. Like it was kind of, it's hard to say, like it was kind of a low point in my career, but it's not really. Like it was, I was trying to work my way back up. And
well, tell me, what's the timeline there? Because I know you were in Fayetteville, right? So what was the timeline there? What do you mean work your way back up?
So I went Huntsville, Alabama, in the SPHL when I was 20 in 2010, and then back to my hometown of Laredo as a head guy there for a year. Laredo Bucks folded, so maybe I'm bad luck or something. But yeah, so we folded. And
says the guy that just lifted the Stanley Cup. Shut up.
And then I was Texas Stars for 3 seasons, won the Calder Cup there. Went to Utah for a year, and I got in some trouble there. And then I kind of had to work my way back up. So that's when I went to Fayetteville for a year, and then Mississippi. So, but honestly, it was the best time I had. In my 14 years, it was the most fun we had. Rachel and I loved it there. Like it was awesome.
I remember the bus rides. I remember.
I do have a picture. I may find this picture.
Go ahead, find it. I know the picture you're talking about. I remember. I remember that exact trip. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes. I'll stall while you find that picture. Go ahead.
Sure.
I remember that exact trip. It was a short road trip. Like I think it was a Saturday game, and we had played Friday at home the week before or the night before.
And you may or may not have been hungover.
I guarantee you, I was hungover. And I remember swinging by the McDonald's right near the arena there, and I had gotten like a 20-pack just for myself. And I remember sitting on the bus. They had the convertible table that could sometimes be, a bunk, and it was set up as a table. And I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna go ham on these nugs.
Yeah.
And I went ham, and boy, that hit me real quick, and I just
So I have it
out
here.
there it is, just passed out, just
Passed out,
absolutely crushed, probably from the night before.
Nugged in the stomach, and
that's it. That's all it took. That's all. I knew exactly what picture you're going. The bus is honestly the first place my mind goes when I think about Mississippi, as awkward as it is.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
those. It's honestly the bus. From the very first bus trip that we ever went on, and we've still to this point have never figured this out. I think it was one of the Euros, but the Phantom incident, we still never figured that out. For those of you listening, I know
who it is. Actually, I have a picture. I know who it is.
Okay, hold on. Let's explain this story, and we're going to get down to Detective Lopez. You're going to let us know who it is. So the rule is...
I may have deleted the picture.
Oh, no. On a hockey bus, or most any team bus, you are not allowed to go number 2 on the bus. It just causes too many problems. I was the rookie, so naturally I was going to get saddled with all of the, it was TJ. It was absolutely TJ. No, I know the rules. I know the spot. It probably didn't help that we sat up front right next to the bathroom, so it was easy to get to. But one day on that I don't even think it was a regular season. Like, I think it was just a preseason trip or something like that. Do you remember
preseason? We didn't make it. We didn't go.
Oh, that's the bus right.
Before we even left.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That's right.
Didn't go.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I completely. Okay, so it wasn't preseason. It must have been the first trip of the year. Yeah. And sure enough, we get back and somebody had violated the cardinal rule. Who do you think it was?
No, I don't think. I know. Okay. I saw him. I took a picture. Brian Arneson.
Oh, okay. Brian Arneson.
Which I hope he watches this and has a rebuttal, but I'm pretty sure it was him. I took a picture. I must have deleted it. But
what was the picture?
He was walking out of the restroom and he was like deer in the headlights. Like,
like if you're going to at least do it, like kind of maybe try to play it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought for sure it was going to be one of the Euro guys who like didn't speak English, like, and just pretending like, oh, I didn't know, I had no idea, and just playing the language card. But I can also see Brian doing that too.
Yeah, I could probably. I mean, I am in Vegas. I am a betting man, and I could bet a lot of money that it was this guy.
Do me a favor, go ahead and put $100 on 27. Go do it. Just go do it.
I will. I'll send you a picture.
All right, perfect. I think about that bus probably more often than I should. From that incident to just the
but the thing is,
it's
like wild. Like we would get after you a lot because sometimes you wouldn't want to partake with me and Mess's. Drinking.
It was my first year. Like, I didn't want to go so hard that my hockey broadcasting career ended because I got hammered and obliviated every single night. You know, I wanted to at least act a little bit like I'd been there.
No, we would drink a lot and watch, rest in peace now, Jerry Springer, but we would watch Baggage.
Yep.
Great show.
Which we're making like side bets on who we think is the one with the baggage. You know, we're trying to guess the winners, and you know, we're not putting money on it or anything, but we're like, all right, someone's gonna chug if they're wrong.
I actually forgot about all those, but it was a really good time. Like sometimes I'd show up, and I have a little 1-year-old now, but before he came into play, and Rachel we'd be gone for a couple of days, and Rachel would want to hang out. And I would just be so hungover or drunk still. And I'd be like, no, I need to sleep. But it was good times. The bus rides were really fun.
We spent a lot of time in close quarters because we would go from the bus to the second half of the year. Anyway, you and I were roomies on the road because originally we had I was always with a player. Do you remember when they would call me the Grim Reaper? Because I was always stashed with the scratch, and at that level, the scratches were basically guys who, if you're rooming with TJ on a road trip, you're gone in 2 weeks. Like I remember being with Hall. What was his name? I can't remember his last name. Anywho, I was with all these guys like right before they would get cut. But then eventually, I can't remember what the shakeup was. I think, it was after our athletic trainer left.
Yes.
We got a woman athletic trainer. She would get her own room. So you and I got to bunk up.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
Angie, shout out to Angie. She's a mom now. She's doing really well. She worked for the Memphis
FC
soccer team
or 901 FC.
I think now she works for the XFL.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. I don't follow her that
Yeah,
quickly, but
I could be wrong, but
she
yeah,
was a godsend because we were in need of an athletic trainer right in the middle of the season, and it's not like a million people are applying to become the athletic
yeah.
trainer in South Haven, Mississippi. She was a godsend, and I
No,
mean,
she was really good.
the trainer we had before that was certainly full of stories.
Yeah, but since we're on the, should we say some of his
Let's go. I
stories?
mean, these are some of the best stories that I have. And I think it's him 90% of the time. That's the reason why I look back at the other years that I've spent in hockey going, that year just never lived up to Mississippi. I think it's because of him. He just took my Richter scale and put it so high.
Yeah.
What do you got? What's the first one that you remember about him?
The first one, yeah, the most outrageous one, I guess. I like him. I always liked him. I thought he was
He's a good guy.
different, but he was a good, he had a good heart, I thought. But he yeah, he got in some trouble, I guess, and he was at a local casino in Tunica, and
Right after the
so,
regular season finale, right? We all started drinking
well,
in
no, he didn't make it to the regulars. Oh, like
or I'm
the
sorry,
whole,
it was after a game. I'm sorry, it was after a game. That's right. He didn't make it to the regular season finale, but I remember we were all together at Fox and
no,
Hound, which was our
you know what?
our spot.
I'm wrong. It was at Fox and Hound. So yeah,
Yeah,
Fox and
yeah.
Hound. He was at the bar, and this is his story. So he was sitting at the bar, and some dude goes up to him, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go to the casino?" And was like, "Yeah, yeah." Oh, sorry. So our trainer was like, "Yeah, yeah, let's go." And they go, and he notices that they're not going towards Tunica. Um, and he's like, "Okay, what's going on?" And they take him to an ATM. And so this is all his story. Who knows if it's true or not? And maybe he just got a hooker or something. But so they go to this ATM, and they tell him, take money out, and we'll let you go. So he goes and takes $200 out, gives it to him, gets back in the van, goes to another ATM, 200 more bucks out, back in the van, and then they do this three more times until he doesn't have any more money, I guess, and they drop him off in Arkansas.
He hit his daily limit, I guess, right? You can only take out
Yeah.
$2,000 or something. You do that 10, 12 times, you're at your limit.
So he says he ended up in Arkansas, and he's at a hotel, and he waits for the sheriffs to come, and then they drop him back to South Haven. But I don't know how true the story is. Like who knows? Like he he said the cops were like looking at the cameras and stuff, but I don't know. I just think he had a great time and he lost his wallet or something. But
I remember that night distinctly. We were all at the Fox and the Hound. We were in the back section, and we were all hanging out. And I was one of the last people to leave because he kind of wanted me to stick around. And it was after a game, and I was already exhausted. Like, I'm just like, it's been a long day. It was a Saturday night. It's already like 1:30 in the morning. Like, I'm out, man. Like, no, you know, he's like, oh, come on, stick around. I'm like, no, I'm out. So I go home, and then, you know, he tells me this whole story the next day, and I'm just like, you couldn't have just left when everybody else left. Like, you couldn't have read the room, man. Like, but I do remember the guy that kind of like, they almost played it like you're trying to pick up a girl, right? Like you remember when you're hanging out with like one of your female friends or something, and a guy just kind of weasels his way in. Like, I remember throughout the night, this guy kept coming back and buying him shots. And honestly, that's kind of what I thought was maybe going on. Maybe he thought that, you know, our trainer was that way and was just trying and was going to get shut down. But no, it was more to set him up for this. And I'm just like, really? I mean, that story, because we asked him that story, like, to tell it again and again and again, and sometimes the details didn't always line up. But that's not not even the most memorable story I have.
You have a big one though. You have a big one.
It was
where like you almost had like a crime scene.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. So the story here is Black Friday that year. So it would have been Black Friday 2016. We were getting set to leave for a road trip, and we were leaving early in the morning on Black Friday. So it was really Thanksgiving Day at like 1 a.m., I think, is when the bus was taking off. And you You and the athletic trainer, you were the guys that were responsible for obviously loading up the equipment and things.
Packing the gear, loading it up. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was one of the last guys to get there. I'm sorry, I should have helped out a little more. I feel guilty about it to this day. But I was one of the last guys to get there. But I remember my mom was in town because she had spent Thanksgiving with me, and I'm getting ready to leave, and you call me, and you're like, yo, you live near him. Can you swing by his place? Because normally he's here an hour ago. He's not here. Like, I'm loading all this stuff myself. Can you just go check on it? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I swing by his apartment. The door is open. I go in, and I find him face down in the hallway, just passed out. Like, I swear to God, I thought he was dead. Like, I literally thought he was dead. He was either hammered, hungover. This is November of the season. So this is our second month in. I had just broken into this career. I have a full-time job as a hockey broadcaster. I have no time for anyone's shit. Like, get your ass up and get to the bus. And do you remember, he didn't bring anything? Like, we were going to, I think, Peoria. He had to keep going to, like, the Kohl's to get, like, a toothbrush and, like, pants.
No blanket, no pillow, no pants, like, nothing.
Unbelievable. And he went out, like, his story was originally that he went out and had Thanksgiving with somebody. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
it might have one of the boosters.
I do remember no, it was I don't know how to say it, but it was forgot her name, but she was the cleaning lady at Landers.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. I think that feels like I'm hearing that for the first time, but okay. He went out for Thanksgiving. He just said that he got really, really drunk, and he came back, and it just didn't mix well. And it could have been a simple story of, he was really, really drunk. But this guy is lying face down in the carpet. I swore, I'm like, great, I'm going to have to call the cops. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, let's get ready. Like, come on. Like, go. Unreal.
This guy's a legend, man. I think you should have him on this. You should have him on the podcast.
I could.
He's a legend.
I absolutely could. I do also remember, poor guy. I remember the one time where it was after a game. I don't know if we're in Knoxville or where we were, but I was getting on the bus, and you and Mess decided to mess with me by sicking him after me and bringing up a friend from back home. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I was just really angry because I just did not have a good call. So I'm sitting there, like, I'm fuming to myself as I'm walking down from the press box. I'm like, I butchered names. I called the score wrong. I was just absolutely just so pissed at myself. And I walk on the bus, and you and Landmesser had put him up to bringing up a really good friend of mine from back home in Pennsylvania, to try and find out if there was maybe some romantic connection there. And there's nothing there. There hasn't been anything there. And I'm pissed. And I just shut him down. I was just like, man, shut the and sit down. Like, I'm not dealing with this right now. And then, like, he just, like, the one time he thought he was in with the cool crowd. And then I come in and I just ripped him to shreds. And then he's like, okay, I don't know. I'm sorry. And then you later come up to me, and I think because we stopped at like a Circle K or something or a Holiday on the way back, and you're like, yeah, we kind of put him up to that. We saw you post something about her on Instagram, so we were like, yeah, go ahead, do that. And it didn't work out. I felt so bad for the guy, but you know, it was a developing year. It was a year that really, for you, it was in the middle of your career because you started. When was your first year? 2010.
2010 in Huntsville. So yeah, it was middle of my career. Yeah, trying to climb my way back up, and I go to Seattle after that, and that really changed my trajectory of my career. Like after Seattle, WHL is such a good league that it opened up a lot of doors. So it was good. But no, Memphis, Mississippi it's still one of our favorite seasons. Like Rachel and I talk about it all the time.
Do you remember
what's your favorite moment in Mississippi?
Oh, the buses. It's the first thing my mind always goes back to. Just hanging out. I mean, I slept a lot on those buses because I mean those rides were so long that I'm just sitting there. If I can close my eyes and wake up and 3 hours have passed, that's great because it's only 1/3 of the ride. You know, we got plenty more. But the buses are the first thing I think of. I don't think of the press boxes. I don't necessarily think of the after game hangs or anything like that. I think of those buses. That was something that was awesome. Do you remember, like there was something like fear just kind of came across me, and I'm like I just got started. Now we got to go into this. Do you remember when we found out, you know, we're folding? What did you think you were going to do? What did you think was next for you?
Yeah, well, no, I remember it was probably like 2-3 weeks after the season ended. So as an equipment guy at that level, you only get paid 2 weeks before the season and 2 weeks after the season,
Really?
and
Okay.
then you're done for the season. So I must have already been done because I wasn't going in, and Mess texted me. He was like, "Hey, could you come to the rink?" And I was like, probably waking up at like 11 hungover or something. And I was like, okay. So I show up and I'm like, and Mess meets me in the parking lot, and I'm like, "Are we fired?" And he's like, "Because honestly, I would have stayed there another season. That's how much we enjoyed it. Like
Right.
I wasn't really looking to go anywhere. We really did enjoy our time there. So I was like, 2 years here is fine. Like Tammy and the girls there were awesome. Like we really enjoyed being there. So we weren't really looking to move. And he was like, "No." And I said, "Are we folding?" And then he was like, "Yeah, but I don't know if you remember, um, what's the family that owns it?"
The Maddox Foundation.
So they came to the rink
Yeah, I
2 weeks
remember.
before, and they were, or during the season, and they were just taking notes of everything that was around the room, TVs, like medical tables, like everything. They were taking inventory, and I told myself, I was like, "This is kind of weird here. Like, what are they doing here?" And it just kind of got brushed off, but yeah, so he told me, and then we went in that room, and um, yeah, I don't know. For me, it was always like, well, I guess I got to find something else. But yeah, I wasn't really too nervous about what I was gonna do, but it sucked. Like when I told Rachel, it was sad because we enjoyed our time there,
Yeah.
but it was more sad. Not really like scared of what I was gonna do, but it was a really sad moment.
I just remember that day because the only time that I personally ever saw the owner coming through was when something bad was happening. Like if someone was getting fired, or like when we went through that GM change middle of the year, like that was the only time that I ever saw them. So I was in the copy room next to the interim GM, and I remember just like elbowing him and going, hey, who's getting fired today? And then
Yeah,
ultimately I found out it was all of us.
almost.
We all
Yeah.
got fired. It was
Hey, who
tough.
runs that Twitter account?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they just like tweeted at me and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a
Oh
Kurt
yeah.
Braz. I was like,
Yeah,
they're
the
alive.
Ghost of the River Kings,
Yeah,
not to pull down the curtain on the Wizard of Oz, but yeah, absolutely, 100%.
yeah,
It's cool that it still exists, but you
yeah. No, it
obviously
is cool.
you landed on your feet in Seattle, and that was a career move for you. You were there for 3 years, right? Because
Yeah, COVID seasons, but yeah, three
yeah,
years.
right.
So no, that I just actually had a night with Matt Odette last night. He's here. They just won WHL championship, so
Yeah,
he's celebrating, and well, we won a Stanley Cup, so we're celebrating, and we had a night in Vegas last night for sure.
I was gonna ask you because I texted you earlier today, our time at like 4 o'clock, and you're telling me you might be a little hungover when we do this together, and I'm sitting there going, George, it's 1 o'clock your time. What do you
Yeah.
mean you're a little hungover? So that explains.
No, I struggled. I actually went to it's called Shaq's Big Chicken. Shaquille O'Neal owns a fried chicken joint. So we went,
Okay.
that cured me. Cured me. So it was actually really good.
Little grease of the gods, I guess, right?
Peace and a beer and a shot, and I'm good to go.
Little hair of the dog too. It's awesome, man. I mean, it's one of those things where it's great to see you lift the cup. You're the only person that I know that's ever lifted the Stanley Cup personally. You've also
Yeah.
listed the Calder Cup when you were an intern with Texas back in the day. Assistant.
Assistant.
My bad. As an assistant, it's incredible, like just to
No,
see what you're
it's
doing
been
and where
really
you're
cool.
going.
It's been really cool. Like my hometown of Laredo, has done a couple stories on me, and I did like a TV interview and newspaper, and it's really cool because I mean Laredo, like South Texas on the Mexican border. I would have never, like, who would have thought, right? And that is what goes through my mind. Like when I Calder Cup and the Stanley Cup, it's like I'm really lucky. Like this isn't something that should happen to a guy from Laredo. Hockey came into my life when I was like 14. Never ever had seen a hockey game before that. Never ever. I wouldn't have. If someone showed me a hockey stick, I wouldn't know what the hell it was. Like it was crazy. So hockey came into my life at 14, and it stayed, and I fell in love with the game. And yeah, so that does go through my mind when stuff like this happens. It's like I'm a Mexican kid. It's not something that is normal for someone from Laredo. So it was really cool that my hometown has been doing these stories and stuff.
I remember you telling me the story about how you got into it, because I think I asked you this on the bus at one point or another, but it was literally as easy. I say as easy, but it's probably very difficult. But someone was just like, "Hey, kid, you're here every weekend anyway. You just want to help out," or something along
Yeah,
those lines, right?
yeah, for sure. It was Rusty Aldridge, right? She keeps saying his name because he's actually um, has a lot of medical issues and he's like in need for like a kidney transplant. So like I owe a lot to him, to be honest. Like I was just a kid watching the game, watching like I enjoyed the game, and I was like, just there watching warmups one day, and he looked up and he was like, "Hey," and he called me down, and I went down in my Bucks jersey, like I was a fan, and he was like, "Do you want to help out? Just fill water bottles and take sticks to the bench and stuff like that." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And yeah, since then I just stuck around it, and yeah,
The rest
so
is
I
history,
owe
as
a
they
lot
say.
to him for sure. Yeah, so it was really cool. It was yeah.
So George, yeah, you start out right like as this little kid in Laredo, Texas, a non-traditional hockey market. Obviously, you're someone of Mexican descent. I mean, let's talk about race. It's something that is certainly so important in the game of hockey and in life in general. As you've come across it, what has been your experience as you've made your way up from junior to pro hockey and all around?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because growing up, Laredo is so Hispanic, like 95% Mexican American, that I never really experienced racism as a kid because it's everyone's the same.
Right, right.
So like it's not so it's kind of like reverse racism, I guess, in Laredo. But yeah, so but oh man, everywhere I've gone, I've experienced at least a little bit. Like my first year pro, first ever hockey game. I was with Huntsville Havoc, and we're in Knoxville, and they announced like head coach Randy Murphy, athletic trainer Bobby Harmon, equipment manager Jorge Lopez, and some guy in the stands yells, "Go back to Mexico, you effing!" It was
What?
like, what? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, yeah. So like that was my first ever experience with it, and it was like
And you
kind
heard
of
that? You heard that from the
oh yeah.
bench? Oh my
Well, I
God!
don't know if you remember in Knoxville, like it's like the fans are right above you,
Yeah, that's right.
so so you're right there with them, and like it's. But yeah, I'm a 20-year-old kid, and it's like, what the hell's going on? Like I never thought anything of it before that, and that was kind of my first experience with it. And but yeah, since then it has gotten better for sure. It's gotten better.
Is it always coming from the fans of the opposing team? You know, is that where you're getting most of the
Um,
racism?
Sort of like my last one wasn't like in Colorado. Some guy called me Pablo or something something like that. So yeah, it was from fans there too. But actually in Mississippi, which I don't even know if you know this story.
I might not.
I don't really want to throw anyone on the bus, but we had a secret Santa in the locker room, and one of the players got me, and they got me like a pair of gardening gloves, a rake, and a sombrero. Um, and you just laugh it off, right? It's whatever. And like, yeah, I get it. It's funny. But like looking back on it, you're kind of like, that's kind of fucked up, right? Like it's you kind of looked at it and it's like, like that's kind of shitty. And we had like a board that to put skate sharpenings if they need skate sharpenings or whatnot. And it would be like whatever number 5/8 or whatever, and it would be so they had their number 5/8. Um, how did you jump the fence? Or 5/8? Did you swim over the river and shit like that? So like, yeah, it's shitty. It for sure it's shitty, and like, yeah, like so like stuff like that, which I know it comes from like they're just joking around, but like it's it makes you feel like do I belong in this sport? Like it does make you feel that way, but then you lift the Stanley Cup and you're like, yeah, suck it, right? So
Because I guarantee you, I don't know who it was that got you. That I can guarantee you, they've never lifted the Stanley Cup, and I don't know what they're doing today.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, stuff like that. So
It's a tough thing, and I know, I think all of these initiatives that the NHL, the AHL are putting on, whether it's hockey is for everyone or what have you, I think a lot of the race stuff can sometimes get buried behind some of the LGBTQ community and things like that. I
Yep.
think we forget sometimes that it's also all races. You know what I mean? It's across the board. It's hockey is for literally everyone, race, gender, sexual orientation, whatever it might be. And I think
Yep.
sometimes that a little bit of that, gets buried. And that was always my argument with a lot of the guys who were choosing not to wear the warm-up jerseys. I'm like, okay, fine, you might be against that, but you're probably not against, races, and you've got
Yeah.
teammates that are different races and things like it. It's a sticky subject, but
For sure.
I'm
But
glad.
it should. I don't think it should be a sticky subject, but it is.
Exactly, because people make it stickier, right? Like, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a situation where those who don't have a dog in the fight decide to not get involved, and then that's when we don't get any progress, because it's just
Yeah.
one side versus the other side, and the masses in the middle don't take sides, and nothing gets changed,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nothing gets
No,
done.
for sure.
But
For sure. So
that's
but
a crazy story.
what's hard too is like I have a 1-year-old and his last name's Lopez. So he's probably gonna play hockey if he wants to, whatever. And it's tough to think that like he may experience some of that stuff. I hope not. I hope he never does, but probably will. And it's kind of shitty, like because I said, like I didn't grow up thinking like, oh, my last name's Lopez. I'm shouldn't play this sport. Like I shouldn't be in this sport. Like I never thought of that. But yeah, you experience it and it's a little shitty, but
You know what? It honestly speaks to how you got started in Laredo at such a young age, and the fact that you could get pulled in so easily. Like, it talks about how important the game of hockey and the reach is when it's done right. Rusty didn't care who you were, what you looked like, how old you were, or whatever. He pulled you in, and you fell in love with this game, and it's become your life. It's become, it ultimately led you to Rachel and to Leo and everything else that you have. Like, it speaks to how important hockey is to the world, and sports are to the world, that if you forget about the differences for just 1 second about what someone's last name is, or what their sexual orientation is, or their ethnicity, all of a sudden you can change someone's life. Like, and just don't be a like, that's the best.
Yes.
How hard is that? Like, I just don't
Exactly.
get it. I just don't get it.
Exactly. And it's a shame because Laredo doesn't have hockey anymore. The Bucks folded in 2012.
They tried bringing them back, though. They tried bringing them back.
With a shitty junior team that ended up being like frauds. But I even think like an ice rink or something around there would be beneficial to the area. And I did a couple interviews, and that was kind of my big sticking point, that like, who knows where the hell I would be? Like I don't know what I would be doing. Working somewhere in Laredo for something. I don't know what I would be doing at all. Like, it's been my only job in life is hockey.
You're a lucky
So like
man.
I have no clue. So yeah, you never know. Like, I know Laredo's not a hockey town, but you build an ice rink, a kid grows up playing it or whatever, he becomes a trainer or a ticket guy or a broadcaster, right? Like it opens up so many more doors that people in Laredo don't know. So like I hope at some point some Laredo millionaire opens up an ice rink.
Well, I think that speaks to just non-traditional hockey markets in general, and both of us are entrenched right now in a non-traditional hockey market, whether it's Charlotte, North Carolina, or Henderson, Nevada. Like, these are not traditional. When you think traditional hockey markets, you think north of the border in Canada, you think Minneapolis, you think Boston, right? So, are you guys as a team, the Silver Knights, trying to do everything that Laredo kind of did for you on a bigger, grander scale? Or is there anything that you're involved with?
You know what's crazy though? Like, Vegas loves the Golden Knights.
That's a good thing.
Crazy, but yeah, no, Vegas like loves hockey. Like
it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt that they've been to the Cup Finals twice in their first 6 years in existence.
But like even in Henderson, like the crowds are bumping. It's a mini T-Mobile. Like it's a party there. The crowd loves it. Like we weren't that good this year, and it's still packed. It doesn't matter. Like it's awesome here. But yeah, no, the team does do. It kind of goes to lower income of neighborhoods too. To like they do street hockey and all over Vegas, not just Henderson. But yeah, no, they have tried reaching out, and I think they've done a good job. And especially with the Silver Knights, like Golden Knights games are a little bit expensive to go to, so a lot of like Uber drivers I speak to and stuff, they're like, "Oh no, I haven't been to a Golden Knights game, but we go to Silver Knights games because they're cheaper." And stuff like that. So it's really cool. Like they put on it's a show. Like I'm sure you've seen like the Golden Knights' pre-game show and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah, yeah.
The Silver Knights do the same thing. Like it's great. It's awesome.
Don't you guys have the town crier that comes in
We
with
have a
like,
town crier.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's got like that long bugle looking thing, and that's how you
Yeah.
guys announce the goals and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's
Goal scored, but yeah, no, yeah.
I remember
Huzzah! It's awesome though. Fans love it. So
that's super cool. Honestly, I was on the fence when Vegas announced that they were going to have a team because that could go one of two ways, and fortunately it went the right way, right? Like, because it becomes another show in Vegas, and I was like, well, it's going to get lost in the shuffle. People are going to be on the strip. They're going to want to gamble, blah, 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 blah. But there's so many people that don't just want to gamble. They want to go see a show. But I can think of a million people that don't want to go see Adele or don't want to go see Celine Dion. They'd rather see a sport. And I think that's why the Golden Knights, I think that's why the Silver Knights, the Raiders that have come in, and the Athletics that are coming in, I think that's why they're going to all do so well, because not only is it a booming enough metropolis where people live and people enjoy their time, so you got good season ticket sales, things like that, but also at the end of the day, you get a lot of walk-up traffic from people who are just on their bachelor parties and bachelorette parties and different things like that. Like it's a great, it adds something, and there's nothing like the game of hockey. I mean, if you just want to grab someone and just punch them in the face with excitement, you take them to a hockey game. I mean, that's what you do.
No, and I think it's the second biggest city in Nevada, which is adjoined to Vegas basically, but it is the second biggest city, and it's so it's kind of like, I think that's why we called it the Henderson Silver Knights, not the like Vegas Silver Knights or something, because they tried making it Henderson's team, and Henderson has like kind of gravitated towards the Silver Knights, towards the Nighthawks too. The Nighthawks arena football team plays out of there, and it's unreal crowds. Like it's 5,000 seats, and it's packed every single night. So yeah, no, it's a booming town. It's awesome here. I love it here. It's great.
I always, when I found out that you had gotten the gig with Henderson, the first thing I'm thinking is, wait, George Lopez? George Lopez, the guy, George Lopez, like,
is going
to Vegas of all places. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not trying to say you're a degenerate, don't get me wrong. That's not exactly what I'm saying, but are you half a degenerate? I would say yes, that's a fair assessment.
I dabble in the craps and the roulette. And
I mean, that was obviously before that you had a little one in the family, so I don't know how you've changed as a family man and things like that, but it's certainly. So what you're saying is Rachel just enables. Awesome. That's great.
Oh, we have a great babysitter. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah.
Oh man, it's incredible how a career goes, right? Like, I mean, when you think about you at 14 or me at 28 deciding, you know what, I'm going to get into this game they call hockey in whatever capacity. And
yeah, what were you doing before? Car salesman?
Yeah, I was a car salesman, right? Like, and then I got a break working at a radio station, and that led into play-by-play, and then I'm like, you know what, forget the car sales, I'm going to go do community development and call games for the Mississippi River Kings. Mississippi has a hockey team? Yeah, apparently they do. I'm going there. See you guys later. I remember interviewing with Mess, and I was just like, he seems like a hockey guy. You know, he's Thunder Bay, Ontario, so he's a Canadian. He's a hockey guy. Oh, man, what a time that was. And that was the start, and I was tainted ever since, because it's just nothing has lived up to those times. I was also younger. I couldn't.
How's Charlotte? I haven't been to Charlotte in a little bit, but how's that new Bojangles arena?
Oh, it's amazing. The atmosphere, so Bojangles back in the 50s was the largest freestanding dome in the world up until Madison Square Garden was built, like a couple years later. So that sound just like funnels. It's a great atmosphere. There's a lot of nobody from Charlotte is actually from Charlotte. Like, if you talk to them, the first question out of your mouth is just generally, where are you originally from? Because they're not from Charlotte. Like, you don't run into people who are from here. They all moved down here. They're either snowbirds, or they've come here for work, or it's the finance capital of the world. So there's a lot of people that come here for the different banks and institutions that set up. So nobody's like actually from here, but we get a lot of those Northerners. So when they come down here and they find out that they have a hockey team, they're like, boom, let's go. And
Yeah.
they latch and they sink their teeth into the team. So it's a really good vibe. I mean, when you're averaging about 65 to 7,000 fans a game in Charlotte, North Carolina, you're good. You're good. We're consistently top 10, so I can't complain.
For sure.
The people have been just fantastic to me. I mean,
Were you there with old Donnie White?
No, he had left the year before that I got there. So
No, he's one of my good buddies. He's a beauty. Yeah, he's awesome.
He is. My actually my cube mate used to be or still is his girlfriend. I'm not quite sure. I'm not that close with her, but they used to be together, or maybe they still are. I'm sorry if they are. I don't know the full story, but I know that they used to date for a little while, or maybe still are. And I've heard so many stories about him. One of the best stories I heard about him is they used to do a little skit that it was a sponsored segment by the local appliance store, and they called it Laundry Talk, and it was just him and the assistant guy just shoot like this, like in front of a washer, and it sold. It worked. But as I'm sitting here thinking back to our conversation, and I'm thinking back to the Secret Santa gift and everything, it got me thinking about Christmas. Do you remember the team Christmas party?
Oh God. More trainer stories.
More trainer stories. First of all, also, y'all set me up in the best way anybody has ever set me up in my life. Something? Yeah, so every rookie, for those of you who don't know, every rookie was required to do karaoke. And I'm not shy. I will do karaoke stone sober if you send me up there. You know
what? Quickly, Rachel and I talk about this often. Do you remember Mess would just sit there at his table like he was like the mafia king, and he would call over players like, Georgie, go call Sherwood, and then he would call him over, and he would pour up a fireball shot, and they would take shots. But he was like literally like a mob king. Like he was just like.
I remember that, but I'm now sitting here thinking, at no point did Mess say, "Hey, come over here." I didn't get any fireball shots. Now, granted, as the broadcaster, you're constantly balancing the, like, are you hockey ops? Are you front office? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? So I was hanging with most of the front office people there, but I didn't know he was handing out. I remember him sitting back, like, today on the day of my daughter's wedding, like having that vibe. Exactly what it was like. Yeah. Oh my God. It's dark hair and everything. Like it worked out. I don't remember him doing the shot. That's pretty funny. Because the boys were getting pretty tuned up. I mean, and that was the thing. And all the rookies were doing the karaoke. And weeks prior to the rookies, including in the front office, everybody had to do karaoke, including people in the front office. And weeks prior, you guys flipped the script on me. You came up to me, you and Mess. It was on the bus on a road trip, and you were like, "Hey, we got to get," because he's a rookie, to the athletic trainer, to do a song at the Christmas party. What song should we make him do? And I thought for half a second, I'm like, Barbie Girl, go, Aqua. That's the jam. Perfect for him. And then when we get to the Christmas party and the rookies got to do karaoke, surprise, surprise, you don't know what song you're getting, and I get Barbie Girl by Aqua.
You got Barbie Girl.
Because you guys were really trying to figure out, it's like, well, whatever he says for someone else is the worst, that's the worst, and that's what we're going to make him do. And I had to do that damn song up there in front of the entire team and the boosters and everybody.
I'm trying to see. I have a video too. And maybe of you singing Barbie Girl. Actually, I have this video too. Well, we should continue about the Christmas story, but do you remember when the mascot threw a fucking puck at me?
Oh, in Macon, Georgia. Like, how does a mascot get so angry that he attacks the opposing team's equipment manager?
Yeah, what the hell did I do?
I don't know, but let's tell the story for the people that weren't even there, because honestly, the only thing I remember about Macon, Georgia was that a mascot threw a puck at you, and it was just for whatever reason, and also that they play the most vicious game of musical chairs that I've ever seen, because they use those old school, like, school chairs that have the metal legs with, like, the metal feet on them and the plastic seats. So that's what they were using, and they're
sliding everywhere.
Yeah, they're giving away like a year's supply of free Krispy Kreme donuts or something, and like people are getting hit in the face with them. Like women are like grabbing other women by the hair and like yanking them down. Like it was vicious. My buddy lived outside of Macon and came to visit us for a game, and I remember it was like our second or third time there that year. I remember just I pre-recorded everything for the intermission from start to finish because I just wanted to watch with him the chaos that was going to be musical chairs, because apparently Krispy Kremes, that is the gift. But those are the two things. I remember the Krispy Kreme musical chairs and you getting pelted with a puck for God knows what reason.
So the mascot was behind the bench, pushing the glass on the bench, and so the sticks were going everywhere. So I got annoyed and I told security to, hey, could he not bang the glass, please? So he got really mad at me and wrote like a sign that said "Crybaby" behind me. And then he was throwing shirts during a TV timeout or something, and he passed by the bench, and it was a foam puck, but he threw a foam puck right at my face and barely missed me. And I was like, "What the hell's going on?" Like, yeah, I almost got in a fight with whatever the hell that guy was. What were they making mayhem? So whatever the hell the mascot was.
It was like some barbarian or some Viking or something had like a hat, and because you saw him or ran into him or something along those lines, like after the game, right? Out of costume or something, or
yeah, but I wasn't sure if it was him, and I was like, "Hey, man," and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know," but yeah, I still remember that story. It was Tyler Green was right in front of his backup, and he was like, "What?" Like, there's a video, and he's like, "Did he just throw a puck at you? Like, what's going on?"
Oh man, Macon. That place had a pretty cool roof too. But I do remember it was Sean, right? Was their equipment guy who's with Seattle now?
Yeah, Sean Thorpe. He's with Coachella. Yeah, they're
Coachella. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
So Game 7 tomorrow, right? So
tomorrow night. It's either going to be somebody from your division or somebody from my division.
Yeah. So Sean, Sean's there now. He's awesome. I told him, I was like, "Hey, who the hell's your fucking mascot?" Like, he just threw a puck at me. Like,
you have so many crazy stories. What do you think is the craziest story you've come across? Like, if somebody were to sit me down and said, "Okay, you've been doing this for 6-7 years. What's the craziest story you come across?" I'd point to something in Mississippi because that was just debauchery at its finest. Like, was it crazy? Yeah. It couldn't have been crazier in Seattle, right? Because those are kids that are trying to get drafted. This is some serious stuff.
Yeah, for sure. No, Seattle wasn't. Yeah, they're kids. They're trying to move their way up and stuff, and they have billet families and their curfews and stuff. Texas Stars, when we won the Calder Cup, was pretty crazy. Like, there's a player that hung out with Johnny Manziel all night. He was like, he showed up to the rink the next morning really drunk. Told me, he was like, "Man, I'm going to have to fake an injury." So he like faked that he pulled his groin in the middle of practice, puked up a cigarette butt in the middle of practice, puked up a cigarette butt.
Gross.
Yeah, so that was crazy. I mean, these Stanley Cup parties have been nuts too. Like, we partied at Omnia with Steve Aoki. Like, Steve Aoki was right next to me.
I saw that, like, your Instagram, just casually, Steve Aoki's just chilling.
Aoki's right there. Like, that's crazy too. But yeah, no, Seattle definitely not. But yeah, definitely the championship celebrations are the crazy stories.
It's insane. Have you seen the bill? Have you seen the bill?
The what?
The bar bill?
No, but I honestly think like these clubs just want us there, so they don't. It's free.
It's the best of both worlds, man. Yeah, as far as the team is concerned, they get to drink as much as they want, and they're set and ready to go. But it's
like the parade was unreal. Like 100,000 people out there. Like it was awesome. It's a movie. Like it was really cool to experience it. We had a Silver Knights bus, so we had shirts to throw to the fans and all our guys there. So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. Again, going back to like the community feel and how close the Silver Knights and Golden Knights really are, and just that you guys can be there, and it also works. I mean, this is the front office in me speaking, but it's like a marketing, like it helps spread the brand, right? Like, I mean, you're there, sure. and obviously you guys did put a lot of hard work, and your taxi squad and all the guys from the AHL level that got into games during that postseason. It's unique and it's cool. And it's something that one day I hope I can be a part of, because I am the master of one and dones in the postseason outside of 2 years. One, actually, outside of both years in Charlotte, because we went multiple. Do you remember the first game in Mississippi in the playoffs when the ice plant broke?
Ice failed, and we should have beat Huntsville that year. Like
we absolutely should have.
I don't know why it bothers me this much, but it still bothers me that we didn't beat them. Like we should have beat them
I'm gonna
that
s-
year.
I'm gonna say 4 words right now into the camera. I'm gonna point right at this camera. Fuck you, Keegan Asmundsson. Fuck you, man. He's a good friend of mine now at this point, but he was the goalie of Huntsville and absolutely robbed that series left and right.
Yeah.
When I saw him, when I ended up in Austin and he came on board because he used to play for Austin, he came on board as an assistant and goalie coach. The first thing I said to him was, fuck you, man. We had that. And they were the only team that was going to stop us. We had that. And I honestly think the whole ice plant failing in Mississippi was a little bit of a problem. Do you remember that? Like, it's 25 minutes before warm-ups, and, like, they go to cut the ice, and it's like, all right, the ice isn't setting. What is this?
No, I do remember, and I remember Mass being upset and stuff, but we still won the next game.
Right.
So we won game 1.
And then we went to Huntsville.
And then we went to Huntsville and lost 2, right?
Yeah, we lost 2. Yeah, we stayed up in that double tree, and I think somebody pulled the old water prank on someone else with the water bucket where you kind of lean it up on the door. Then
Was that me?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't on you. It was on. I think it was the players or somebody. I remember hearing.
Okay.
I might have only just heard the story right around that time, and that's why my mind is tying these two things together. But that was we should have won that. But Keegan, he absolutely ripped it right from our hands. And man, I love you, Keegs, but fuck you, man. Fuck you. No. We should have won that.
We should have, for sure.
But hey, here you are. You've listed a Calder Cup. You've listed the Stanley Cup. What's next for you? What do you got in store?
Yeah, hopefully full-time NHL soon. But no, I'm happy here in Vegas. I'm happy in Henderson. Like I'm not lying when I say it's a great organization. Like I've been drinking. I don't care. It's a great organization. Like I'm not lying about it. It's awesome here. The fans are awesome. We just bought a house here. My little guy was born here, so I'm happy here. Very happy here.
Well, you got to go down to your favorite spot and put $100 on 27 for me.
27 for Arnie.
That's right.
On the bus.
That was his number. So we're going to put it on that. I don't know if 27 is red or black, so that's why I'm not saying that. I'm just whatever 27 is. Put $100 on 27. George, man, this has been awesome. It's been good to catch up with you. It's been good to chat with you. So many stories.
Hey, you're still marrying us. Whenever we do get married, you're still marrying us.
Supposedly. I mean, at this point, when's that going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But whenever it
happens, I'm ready to go. I've done 9 or 10 already. I got another one lined up this summer. I got one more in me. Let's go. We'll do it. And I will not talk about any of the stories we've talked about here in the ceremony. I'll keep it clean. Keep it fresh for the family, because by then, who knows? At the rate we're going, Leo's going to be a teenager, and then we'll finally get to this.
For sure. Hey, you and the wife should make a trip to Vegas, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, flights from Charlotte to Vegas, $79 or whatever they are. We'll do it. We just got to get some PTO. Sure. Life of the working people.
For sure. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. That was Henderson Silver Knights head equipment manager, George Lopez, my good friend. We have so many stories. We have so many times and just great time spent together. He's just the first of many guests that are going to come down the pipeline as we talk a little bit about our careers working in sports and just the absolute chaos that it is. This has been Chillin' with Chillot. I'm play-by-play broadcaster TJ Chillot. We'll see y'all next time right back here.